For the last defender. And just...
Hands up, they'll know to bring this aside. The Premier League. Meanwhile, let's get...
Your life's been in motion since the time of your birth. But the thing that's static is this stationary earth. Some say a year is a lap around the sun, but we who seek the truth know that's completely wrong. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday, dear Dave. Happy flat birthday to you. This expansive plane is the best gift you've been given, providing everything you'd want or need for good living. Here's to you for spreading truth and the good work that you've done. All the best on the next few hundred revolutions of the sun. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday, dear Dave. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday to you.
Could I have egg, sausage, chips and beans, and a tea?
Listen.
What?
I'll tell you one thing. What? I'll tell you one thing.
Tell us one thing.
Tell us one thing, right?
This is nothing like our supper usually, is it?
This is
not
true.
good fun.
This is true.
Isn't it? Usually we're chatting away.
That is a
and
simple
enjoying
fact.
ourselves.
That is a simple fact. Could I have a glass of milk, please? What?
No, that's a glass of milk.
Why not?
Who's is that?
Hooray!
Anyone else?
How do you know this isn't yours?
Yes, because it hasn't got peas on it.
Well, this has got ham on it. I
That's what you ordered, mate. You ordered tomatoes as well.
Is this your milk, Rick?
Yeah.
Can I drink it?
No.
right.
I wouldn't argue to.
You can have a sip.
Why not, man?
What, do you think it
Pete,
looks
when's
bad?
the shop open?
I don't think the equipment could take over. We do rely on it a lot. I mean, we couldn't do what we do as we do it without it. We could still do a good, entertaining musical show, I suppose, without it, but all those things are down to how you control them and whether you're controlling them and not the other way around.
And it's a danger that we could become slaves of all our equipment. And in the past we have been. But what we're trying to do is to sort it all out so that we're not.
It's just a question of using the tools that are available when they're available. And more now, there's all kinds of electronic goodies which are available for people like us to use, if we can be bothered. And we can be bothered.
I mean, it's all extensions of what's coming out of our heads. I mean, you've got to remember that you've got to have it inside your head to be able to get it out at all anyway. I mean, the equipment isn't actually thinking of what to do any of the time. It couldn't control itself. It would be interesting to see exactly what 4 people could do if just given the equipment who didn't know anything about it really and just told them to get on with it and do something. Be an interesting experiment. I think we'd come off better.
It's like saying, give a man a Les Paul guitar and he becomes Eric Clapton, you know? And it's not true. And give a man an amplifier and a synthesizer and he doesn't become whoever either. Doesn't become us.
Inches? 4. See, we both got passengers. Yeah. Look after mine, will you?
After forming in the 1960s and releasing some albums as a joyfully and lightly psychedelic pop-rock band, Pink Floyd took a turn to the transcendent, evolving into one of the most adventurous and introspective bands of all time. The group made progressive rock palatable for the masses, who responded by keeping 70s masterpieces like The Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and The Wall on the charts for years. More than 50 years after their formation, millions of teens still have a Pink Floyd phase, which involves their albums, beanbags, a basement, headphones, and probably a trip to the planetarium for a laser light show.
Why should I be frightened of dying?
The Pink Floyd. You're going to hear them in a minute, and I don't want to prejudice you. Hear them and see them first, and we'll talk about them afterwards. But 4 quick points I want to make before you hear them. The first is that what you heard at the beginning, that short bit, those few seconds, are really all I can hear in them, which is to say, to my mind, there is continuous repetition, and proportionately they are a bit boring. My second point is that they are terribly loud. You couldn't quite hear that because, of course, from your sets, it isn't as loud as it is here in the studio and as it was in the festival hall in the Queen Elizabeth Hall on Friday. I will ask them about that when we come to talk. My third point is that perhaps I'm a little bit too much of a musician to fully appreciate them. And the reason why I say this is that, they have an audience, and people who have an audience ought to be heard. Perhaps it's my fault that I don't appreciate them. Well, if I first may turn to Roger, I want to ask one fundamental question, of which our televiewers may not be quite aware the significance of it, because they didn't hear all of it. Why has it all got to be so terribly loud? For me, frankly, it's too loud. I just can't bear it. I happen to have grown up in the string quartet, which is a bit softer. So, why has it got to be so loud, so amplified?
Well, I don't guess it has to be, but I mean, that's the way we like it. And we didn't grow up with a string quartet, and I guess that could be one of the reasons why it is loud. And it doesn't sound terribly loud to us.
Yes, actually, not everybody who hasn't grown up in a string quartet turns into a loud pop group, so your reason is not altogether convincing. But I accept that you like it. What I'm saying is that if one gets immune to this kind of sound, one may find it difficult to appreciate softer types of sound. Sid, yes? No?
I don't think that's so.
No.
I mean, everybody listens. We don't need it very loud to be able to hear it, and with some of it is very quiet, in fact.
Right.
Personally, I like quiet music just as much as loud music. We play in large halls and things where obviously volume is necessary, and when people dance, they like volume, you know, comes in on its own. But
well, that's interesting. You see, when people dance, you did start, if I'm not mistaken, as a group which accompanied dancing. Is that it?
Yeah, you could say that.
And how did you turn into a concertizing group, if I may use the American term?
Well, we've only done 2 concerts, in fact, because the main scene with pop music, which I guess is what we are at the moment, is that you play gigs around ballrooms and dance halls and this sort of scene, because that's how it works at the moment. But we felt that there was no real reason, you know, why we shouldn't do an organised concert in a large hall where people came and sat and actually listened to what we do, because dance halls, generally speaking, are not very good places to actually listen to the music. Most people come along, and the music, for most of them, has been, over the past few years anyway, just a sort of background noise that they can jig about to in certain sort of... You know.
Were those 2 concerts successful?
Yes, I think so. But I mean, when we play, I think the way the act's developed in the last 6 months has been influenced rather a lot by the fact that we've played in ballrooms, necessarily, because, you know, that this is obviously the first market. But I think concerts have given us a chance to realise that maybe the music we play isn't directed at dancing necessarily like normal pop groups have been in the past.
Have you encountered any hostility towards your creation?
Well, yes, we have, but I mean, I guess there's been quite a lot of hostility going on in odd places in the country. I mean, the only hostility we've actually seen, of course, is that which has hit the national press and things. The sort of professional knockers like Robert Pittman and people have had a go at us.
Do you, in your turn, feel aggressive towards your audiences?
No, not at all.
In spite of all the loudness, you don't?
No, not at all.
Yes,
There's
not many young people who sort of cause, who dislike it.
No, there's no shock treatment intended.
No, certainly not. Some people think that we deliberately try and sort of shock the audience and make them, by the volume and keep them quiet, sort of thing.
Yes.
But this isn't so.
Well, there it is. I think you can pass your verdict as well as I can. My verdict is that it is a little bit of a regression to childhood. But after all, why not?
Dans un monde onirique, où la vie est régie par des cycles, les êtres vivants naissent de cocons et forment des couples. Mais quelque chose d'inattendu va se produire.
should I be frightened of dying? There's no reason for it. You've got to go sometime.
I've had dozens of pictures of double exposures, if you want. Some say they're lens flares. We've had this argument 1,000 times. I took this one out my mother's garden, and this is what showed up. And people are saying, well, yeah, that's your bog standard lens flare, so that's what you would expect, because you get this eye halo around it. So I'll say, yes, okay, that's lens flare. Lens flare is a thing. But how would that explain this one, which looks like it's got some sort of circle right next to it? Or the abundance of sundogs that I've witnessed in the last few years that I haven't seen before in my life? Is the electromagnetics altering because of some sort of under pressure compression? Because in my Bryan, I think this place goes up, goes down, all the seas and the land. The Phoenicians definitely are the masters of watery wickedness, and I think the place where we're standing on, we just take for granted as being like these big, massive continents. On the scale of what? What are you comparing it to? This place could be measly and small, like who land. So here's another one. Is that an exposure, or is there some like reflecting thing going on with the atmosphere? You know, I'm definitely still a purveyor of, because we're in a watery solution, that we're looking at an apparent sun. The sun that we see could be reflected in from maybe even another dimension. This thing looks like the lens of a camera or a movie camera, and then when the moon doesn't show up and there's an eclipse, it's like a shutter that just refreshes and then everything's new again. But we get these secondary suns. And if you look through antiquity, I'll show you examples now. This has happened over and over, the same electromagnetic phenomena, but they are associated with reset times and comet arrivals and devastation, as I will show you. This got sent in from America a couple of weeks ago to me. Somebody caught a cracking sundog. But this, if you have read the Holy Grail of our flat Earth, the evidence of 4 angels is overwhelming. In my Bryan, that's exactly what's happening because of the weight of evidence. That the light is captured and pulled in from the electromagnetics of the 4 angels, the electromagnetic structure of this plane under our dome, and it is shown here in this capturing of the sun dog. Chemtrails cause a weird sort of chem dog, caught a couple of them as well. So there's another sun halo with the 4 angels perfectly captured, 1, 2, 3, and I guess there'd be another at the bottom, and a beautiful little Mount Meru in the center. So there you are, you got the plane in focus, and also this body in focus, while this whatever it is, you know, is it other bodies? People say there's supposed to be Vulcan up there, K2, Raku, you know, there's all these ideas of, you know, the sun being eaten by a lion, you know, or some sort of dragon in other ideas. And you know, if you watch the intro to Ray of Light Madonna video, they show you a perfect example. I was going to capture it, but I don't want to copyright. A perfect example of the sun actually moving away, and it's just nothing more than a perspective issue. Okay, it is not dropping over some fucking curvature, made-up curvature over some ball. It's moving away, it's going around its journey, and it doesn't take long, especially in these summer months, to come back around again, only a few hours. Once you feel it, you know it, like the farmers do, you feel the movement of the sun, you know you're static, and you feel the movement of the moon, and you get a closer connection with this plane. So what's going on with these multiple bodies? Now, these are from the Middle Ages, 1500s, 1400s, and they just show that you get these sun halos, but they are definitely associated with destruction. So I think, you know, there's a point. And somebody said in my comments, and I was like, no, I'm not having it. I'm adamant I'm not having it. Somebody said, oh, we can't help history now. You know, I don't think you're right, whoever said that. I really do think there is a moment when all of history will wake up at the same moment. I don't think time is even a real thing, and I think that history is existing there right now as we are existing here right now, but not in the way that they say the forward arrow of time. Maybe history, the past, if you think it's in the past, maybe it's not. Maybe it's side by side and here right now, and that's the way I feel about it. So I'm not sure why this rocket is above this in I-520, but it looks like a rocket, but obviously it can't be, because I guess you know, it looks like a cruise missile. But again, you get this black hole affair, and the sun in the middle, but it's definitely going like black sun, 1500s. So these have been depicted, these events, guys, over time in the dark bar, eh? And as I said, a lot of you know, Norse mythology, etc. You get these. Now there's the sun. So this is one, said 73, I'm not sure. But you get these 3 orbs venting orbs. Look at the size of these skyscrapers in this ancient city. And I notice there's a load of tents as well, which is interesting. Oh, right, there's an encampment, there's a war. Oh, I said the word. So yeah, what about this? Would it be normal to sit under a wooden sort of cafe, whatever it is, and eat while the sky is erupting with giant rocks and stuff? Now, how about fire and brimstone? How can fire and brimstone be? If it's falling from the sky, how can it be? giant rocks fall from the sky. How can that be? Where are they coming from? Upper lands? Above the water? Maybe through the gaps? And what about these 3 suns? Was there a time, if they are suns, but they showed up and they're glowing red like suns, and there's 3 of them in J555. And there's so many examples of these 3 suns in Middle Ages depictions that we have seen. And they're all associated with the fall of civilization. You have a new king. You have a comet turn up. You have a change of calendar, change of everything, styles, and the whole of civilization gets destroyed. And most people, when they know about it, take to the bunkers or the mountains or the caves. Run to the hills, my friends. And in this one, it's quite interesting. I'm not sure of the date, but it does say, I guess, J30 and a 7. So, well, they say 1307. We say 307. I don't know what the S denotes. So it's a German church, and looks like to be some sort of UFO. But we see these in Renaissance artworks as something completely different. Okay, I don't know what they are, but there's some sort of tech. I would suggest, because the church seems to be on fire, that's some sort of dew weapon. Just not understood. Now, somebody posted and told me about, I think it was on King Dave's show, when he was on about, somebody posted about arches. I think it was, what's his fucking name? Can't remember. About old Roman arches lining up with sun equinoxes, bit like they say Stonehenge does. And you get the same thing for Karnak in northern France, these magnetic stones lined up, and you get these as well. Almost like they're a processional way for people to walk up, maybe some protectiveness from the EM or something that's going on, and then they reach a point in the horizon where the sun is setting. It's uncanny. It's uncanny that these so-called megaliths we know little about all line up with equinoxes. There's more in it. So fisheye lens, obviously, because Concorde is also bent. I'm wondering what's taking the photograph to keep up with it. But what I like about this, it actually shows how local the sun is. There could be multiple suns. Could be multiple suns in this place. This was in the 4th of May, only this year, Brazil. Both moon and sun right next to one another, if that is the moon, and both their beams reaching your feet, which is a mind-blowing itself, because if you're 100 miles up the beach, the 2 beams would still reach your feet. So subjective reality. Lens flare, possibly. Another example sent in to me. I get a lot of them, as I said. What about this one? So they say that the moon's light is reflected off the sun, and there's some relationship between the moon and the sun. Yet you see a setting sun, which is going to disappear, and a fully illuminated moon. So it's not like just me, it's all of it. So, and this one was recently too, I think, and you get a crescent and that there as well. Both rays, beautiful, that one. More sun dogs, and that was me with a sun dog caused by chem clouds, as you can see, all in straight lines, only a couple of weeks ago. And again, this one looks like, is there any mistake? This looks like the eye of Johnny Five, or an eye of a robot, or even, it's definitely eye looking, isn't it? But again, it captures the magnetics of this place. 4 angels. Fantastic little shot, that. Doesn't it look like an eyeball? So this is supposed to be a rocket ship, so it's the Falcon Heavy by the look of it, and it's going past the sun. But what it does show is it's bent in supposed rocket fuel fumes, is that it looks exactly like, say, a speedboat from above, or water. And this all looks like water. And look at the way that the sun, I don't think of the sun as a ball, I don't think it is a disc or anything, because I can't say what it is. Same as the moon. To me, it's just a plasma effect, and I'll leave it at that. Everyone else can just think what the fuck they want and just run away with themselves about fucking moon maps and everything else that's going on with all this thinking at the moment. Tell you what, guys, don't take your eye off the prize, not for a fucking second. They'll do anything to stop it. You notice how it goes in, like it's, you know, inverted on the outsides. You see what I mean? Really, really watery effect as well. So, where is the sun sketches? I don't know. This one's another one that was taken in Russia not long ago, and you got this rising sun, and there's, I guess, in this is a line from, again, like a sun halo, but it's red and it looks like the sun. They posted in the Daily Mail. I couldn't really get the article, but 3 suns were spotted over Russia at this period. So that's a beautiful sunset. There's nothing more beautiful than a sunset. Consciously, because we witness it and we look at it, it becomes more beautiful for us. You know, so when you witness that fantastic fiery sunset, it's because of you. It's because you're there. So that's a nice example there of a sun halo. Now, ancient cultures, you know, the Mesopotamians, the Egypts all have like sun discs. You know, if you want to find out, you know, I've posted about them on the Tatarian channel. But again, you know, the art and, you know, the religion of these people is the art and the sun disk Ra, which doesn't really look like the sun, but it has crepuscular rays, so it is the sun. But it almost got this lit. But again, it's very portal, and she seems to be recharging something here using sun's rays, or heat, wherever it is, Akhenaten. And also here, again, you know, the sun disk is over Anubis's head, and this, she's getting beams, you know, like, I guess in energy. But, you know, there's a definite correlation between the sun and consciousness here as well, the light giver. And, you know, the boat that sails across the ocean of the sky, okay? But more than that, what you find is got a doorway on it, like a doorway to another dimension, or just like in Enochian terms, holes in the firmament. And maybe they just sail up, step off, and go through. Let's have a look what's going on. No, it threw me a bit because I thought, fuck me. It looks like here, like there's an actual like globe, like, you know, I know it's like the sky behind in the clouds, but like it's like disky. It's got like a defined edge to it there. So yeah, what is that? Now I said to you guys, this sun thing is a lot bigger than I can ever remember. The moon's also doing weird stuff. It's going bright orange, like really freaky orange, which I've never really witnessed before. And they say, oh, it's closer than it's ever been, and it's going away. And well, maybe we won't all be here to witness that, but I'm just saying that, you know, this I've not witnessed before. And what it is, I don't know. Is it our sun? I don't know. It doesn't look like. What is this? Just this beaming fucking light. Let's speed this up again a bit for you. Right, let's see what's going on here. Oh, there, stop. What about that? That disc, that chunk taken out, like there's something else there. And this is just the other morning on one of these beach cams. So, you know, is it photoshopped? It's a fucking beach cam. I doubt it. And it ends up on Facebook, somebody's grabbed it. Had a little chat feed going on, sort of give you a little bit of credibility. The date's up in the corner, GMT, time, and these webcams, I look at them fucking all the time. You know, sometimes if I'm bored, I just leave one on of just a boring old street saying Dublin or something, just to watch it. They have chat feeds going. So what is that above it? Is that clouds? And what about that? What about that? I've not seen a sunrise like it. It's a little bit freaky, to say the least. What say you guys? What say you? My internet just dropped off. It's magnetic. It looks like it's something to do with whatever this is. But it doesn't really look like our sun, and just looking really freaky. And it's white, not orange. Sunrises used to be orange in my Bryan. Do you remember that? Do you remember orange sunrises? I've seen loads of examples of, guys, you know, and there is definitely something fucking going on. And the antiquity, as I'll show you more examples of now, will show you definitely this stuff is replicating and has happened before. Not sure what to make of it. Maybe that rain cloud, yeah, set it off. I don't know. It's just the whiteness, the size, it's not defined. The sun looks absolutely fucking massive. Don't know if it's magged up because of the beach camera, but the whole hue of that is weird, isn't it? Something? Nothing? I don't know. It looks like a freaky ass fucking sunrise to me. And doesn't even look like the sun I'm used to. I'll tell you what I expect. Is I expect a sun, yeah, to arrive, orangey, nice and orangey glow, and everything lights up like a beautiful summer's day. You know, like that. There's a bit of rain there. Still, freakiness indeed.
Gives way, and suddenly it's day again. The sun is in the east, even though the day is done. Two suns in the sunset. Could be the human race is right. As the windshield melts and my tears evaporate, leaving only charcoal to defend. Finally, I understand the feelings of the few. Ashes, diamonds, foe and friend, we were all equal in the end.
Told we're here at 3. It's after 10 past. He is in, isn't he? One of the big boys wants to see. He always pulls the same trick. Sends for you at 3 and sees you at 3:15.
Mr. Larkin to see you, J.G.
I'm sorry to kept you. Sit down, Mr. Larkin.
Thank you.
Do you smoke these things?
King of Kings, size.
Yes. Very surprised we got you to come here, Mr. Larkin.
Well, I couldn't see what the CWNS would want with me. Still can't.
Do you know anything about us?
Oh, I heard 1 or 2 things when I was working with the BBC.
What'd you hear?
CWNS set up midway between the government and the TV companies. Any time the newsreel boys put out stuff with security classification, wars, weapons, political leaks, they get their film through this office.
What do we know about you? Larkin. Robert Santor.
Yes, it's a family name.
Good family. Good education. But you turned your back on all that, didn't you? Tried a little bit of everything. 1955, you wrote some plays for the BBC, then worked for them as a story editor. 1961, you got a 3-year contract as a director, which you didn't renew.
Oh, the BBC weren't paying money.
Well, you're in the money now, aren't you? In 1968. There's your flat in Holland Park, your cottage in Hampshire, 2 children.
And a dog and a cat who commute with us to the country at weekends. Well, maybe you knew that already.
6 years ago, there were those shows you did on alcoholism, blood sports, slum clearance. People called you bright. Very bright. There were other words they used.
Hard-hitting. Vital.
Now you do only 4 shows a year. The critics call them brilliant. They're high in the ratings, and they're, well, they're soufflés. Little soft in the center. Don't think I'm complaining.
Oh, you can complain if you want to.
Just call it a friendly professional interest. I'd like to know what happened to alcoholism and blood sports.
Call it reaching the age of 35. Call it school fees, 2 fixed addresses. Call it joining the establishment. Call it being a socialist for 15 years in a country that'll never be socialist.
Good. There's your wife, Rachel. You married the girl next door. Your 2 children, Rebecca and Daniel, nice little family. 3 years ago, you got yourself a girlfriend. It was serious.
Where the hell did you get that, Founder? Just tell me where it stops.
Lasted for 18 months. Your wife never knew about it, even when you nearly decided to leave her.
Who are you? It's the initials J.G., that's all I know. Never met you before in all my life.
July the 25th, 1966. You finally decided to break it off with this woman. You said you loved her. You said you loved your children. It was 2 against 1. You had to add it up like that. Sorry, your cigar is burning my desk.
Sheila told you all this?
We have ways of finding things out.
But why? If it's blackmail, the thing won't hold water. It's all in the past. Well, there'd be pain, of course, for Rachel and the children. But you wouldn't get anything else out of it.
No, it isn't blackmail. We've just been interested in you for a long time.
Interested?
You went back to your wife because you said it was 2 against 1. I call that very responsible. We're interested in very responsible people. In fact, we have a little index for them. We call it their power quotient. A ratio of responsibility as against aggression. Yours is very low. 0.2. That's very low. Just what we need. Sit down. Please. I'm sorry, the language must seem rather strange at first, but we take it very seriously. Just to show you how seriously, I'm going to tell you how we checked up on you. We call these things surgical transmitters. One was fitted inside you when you went into the Charing Cross Hospital 3 years ago. Appendix, wasn't it?
Transmitter? Are you trying to tell me that you listen to every word I say?
A machine does. untouched by human hand. There's a little gadget in these things that ties up with the pulse rate. Puts a bleep onto anything that you're excited about saying. British.
Power quotient, surgical transmitters, high-speed tape. It's Doctor Who. I'm for the real world, Jack. Good afternoon.
I should just have to give you an example. On July the 26th, 1966, you were talking to this girl, Sheila, about love. You said to her, I quote, "The kind of love I have for you, Sheila, well, it's bed love and it's more. It's staying in bed till 6 p.m. and saying I can't go to the office today. It's eating breakfast at twilight, laughing at leaves on the pavement."
I don't believe there's any such thing as these surgical transmitters. You got Sheila to tell you all this, then you wrote it down the way I might have said it. You're a good guesser.
Can you hear your heart beating?
It's eating breakfast at twilight, laughing at leaves on the pavement, getting a cab to a silly movie to Paris. It's moving when you're tired of staying still. And I've done it all before when I could do it with no ties. Now it'd just be irresponsible. So there really is one of those things inside me. What do you want?
We want people with low power quotients. We want them to work for us. Nothing more sinister than that.
All this just to offer me a job.
Special sort of job. The newspapers talk about the corridors of power, the power elite. Let's just say we'd like you to join the club.
Oh.
There's a vacancy in our newsreel department. We'd like you to help plan the news for 1973.
Come again?
Plan the news for 1973. What are you doing?
I just want to make sure the sunlight's real.
I always tell people, news is the most highly developed form of fiction. The most difficult. Come on. I just want to show you something. There's no obligation to buy. Really. News requires imagination. News requires responsibility. We think you're well qualified. Please.
Double A security, sprinkler systems and other services do not operate beyond this point.
'73. We've only roughed out the news for 1973. Nothing's been given the go-ahead yet, but this is the kind of thing we have in mind. Come.
Today, April 14th, 1973. First historic pictures by Radstar of the combined U.S.-Russian landing on the moon. Shown here are Majors Webb and Mikhailovich taking their first steps into the unknown, firing their retro-rockets to land their spacecraft on the dust-covered surface. A comforting note for us stay-at-homes, both the Pentagon and the Kremlin have announced that the moon has no strategic value.
A comforting note for us to stay at home. I can't show you any film on this next model. We haven't photographed it yet. But this is the way it will sound.
June the 22nd, 1973. The State Department releases film of the ultimate weapon, codenamed Icarus. This satellite is equipped with a solid reactor. In layman's terms, it can freeze air solid, stopping all missiles, killing all forms of life. Icarus orbits at the same speed as the Earth, can hang in position over every major city that threatens the peace-loving nations.
Rather proud of this one. Come on. Please, sit down, Mr. Larkin.
September the 5th, 1973. The new phase in global warfare. War by example. At 4:32 our time, China took out the remote Indian border village of Bandor, unprotected by the Icarus network. After the first 2 5-megaton H-bombs have fallen, the 9-way hotline finally
switch
had
it off.
effect. But
This is going to happen in 1973. You're going to make this happen?
No. We're going to make models, much cheaper. Then we photograph the models.
Fake newsreels?
That's fake newsreels. For the past 10 years, people have been looking at our fake newsreels and listening to our fake commentaries.
And they accept it for the truth? And you can do it. Stop 100 people in the street. How many of them have actually seen a missile or a satellite? They're just told they exist and they believe it.
Yes, you're getting there. I knew you would.
Well, now, the moon rocket and the satellite, that you can get away with. That's too remote for people to grasp. It's too far away, but this... I mean, you invented this village on the Indo-Chinese border.
Oh, yes.
Well, somebody could check up.
Very mountainous territory up there. There'll be no survivors in 1973. No rescue work. Radiation scare.
Yes. You can do it. This could be the news for 1973.
Not necessarily exactly like this. We only plan in detail 1 year ahead.
Oh, you only plan 1 year ahead.
Hey, tell me, what is the news item that's bothered you the most in the past year, 1967?
Oh, well, it has to be the new American intercontinental ballistic missile, the Boy Wonder, doesn't it?
Just the one I asked him to set up for you. The new ICBM, codename Boy Wonder, with a much-talked-about Mercury warhead. I haven't any special effects up here, but perhaps with the proper sound. Blast off. And Robert Larkin, television director, high IQ, 35 years old, is scared. Scared by nothing. It doesn't work. It's a scientific impossibility. The same goes for the much-talked-about Mercury warhead. Perspex.
Well, if this rocket doesn't work, then the others...
They have a fireworks party at Cape Kennedy almost every other day. Well, you didn't really believe there were all these things whizzing about up there, did you? Sputniks and rockets. Astronauts crossing their legs for 8 days.
How long has this been going on?
Since Hiroshima.
And the H-bomb, you mean, that doesn't work either?
Right. Dirty.
Very, very dirty.
What was your first reaction? Relief. Oh, yes. Yes, it has to be relief. Only 12 people are allowed beyond this point. Most of them work in the photographic department, taking phony newsreel pictures of our models and processing film and so on. Sit down, please. Ah, pretty pictures from our stills department. The boy wonder.
Do you really think that missiles and satellites are my line of country?
No, not at all. I've only shown you the hard news. There are other things, much softer things we thought might interest you.
Well?
1973, we thought it might be time for an anti-teenage movement. A long-awaited return to maturity. Sherry. Perhaps even a religious revival.
Oh, I see. You want me to arrange the grand opening of Ruislip Cathedral. 1st of October, 1973. Mark the date down in my 10-year diary.
We are very serious about you. There are things about you we like very much. Qualities you have to offer. Qualities that we perhaps don't possess at the moment.
That's great.
Our file on you. I have to return to July the 25th, 1966, the day you broke it off with this girl, Sheila. You really did reveal rather a lot of yourself that day. But, of course, if you really mind...
Help yourself.
You said to her, it won't work, Sheila, and she said something, and then you said...
You remember I went away with Rachel and the kids to the seaside? It was midweek, and this huge stretch of sand was empty. Just a circle of footprints around 3 sandcastles and tracks out to sea. The whole damn day of my family marked out in front of me. The sun was going down. Rachel kept calling the kids to get dressed. She picked up buckets and spades, corny bloody things like that. I was up at the car. I looked at those footprints, and I knew those people were slipping away. There were things I could tell them.
We rather like that bit about footprints. You see, in this job, some of us have got rather a long way away from the idea of footprints in the sand.
Those footprints were made by my children. Now, you want me to scare the hell out of them with every bomb from A to H inclusive. Well, why? I mean, when did it all start?
1945. You may remember the Americans let off their 2 atomic bombs. Well, they didn't want other people doing the same thing. I mean, you do see that, don't you?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, to scare the people off, the Americans put it out that the atomic bomb was halfway along the line to something much bigger, the hydrogen bomb. It didn't work. They spent 5 years in negative research.
Well, what about the Russians? They're supposed to have quite a pile of these things.
We were surprised when they started their tests. Then we got a few feelers from their Secret Service. Nowadays, we work very closely together. Oh, all these stories about spies going off to Russia. Mr. Philby, remember? Just good copy for the Sunday papers.
Good copy. Well, the Chinese. I mean, they've just announced their bomb.
Yeah, we played along with it. We recorded their phony explosion. We're rather hoping the Chinese will come along, complete the pattern, you know.
In Vietnam, hundreds of people are being killed every week. Well, you can't do that with your models.
No. And you can't kill people of bad habits in 2 generations. They like to carry rifles. They like to put lines on maps. And we let them because we control the situation. There's no danger of world war. Just a simple choice for everybody. Capitalism or communism. Strawberry or vanilla. It all adds up to the same thing now we've got rid of the big bangers.
Well, how can you be sure that Johnson, Kosygin aren't working on other things? Poison gases, bacteria.
Pathetic man of your intelligence. You don't want to destroy the world. Neither do I. What makes you think that presidents are different?
Well, they've made some pretty good stabs at it in the past.
There wasn't the right sort of control then. Nowadays we know better. Politicians are easy to control. The grosser mentality boys who like to be photographed getting in and out of Daimlers in Whitehall. They come right at the bottom of our organization. A few rungs up the ladder, there are the people in the top secret factories. Just those in a position to know they're making weapons that don't really work.
There must come a time when somebody wants to use one of those weapons. I mean, somebody is standing there with a finger on the button.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Nobody presses the button. We control all the crises. We build them up and we shut them down.
We? Again?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Near the top of the hierarchy, there are the economists, top civil servants, the top brass in the military. Those men who are supposed to view the nuclear tests and so on. And above them, CWNS.
Right at the top. Classified World News Service. Just who the hell are you?
It's obvious, isn't it? Just a very few of the top people in communications in every major country in the world.
Oh, you mean you run all these magazines?
No, of course not. We just get them to take some of our copy every week. Television is much more important to us. It all happens so quickly.
You say you can put out what pictures you like on television. Doesn't anybody try to stop you?
No, nobody wants to. 99.386% of the population wouldn't believe this conversation. And the rest are working for us. And they're the top minds, the really responsible people. They know they're guaranteeing the lives of their grandchildren the only foolproof way.
Scaring the hell out of their grandchildren. Well, I won't buy it.
You must admit there has to be some kind of control in this world of ours. Look at this. And remember that 1/4 of the world is starving. There are the full bellies and the empty bellies. Some of the empty bellies carry rifles. Well, we full bellies are getting a bit flabby. We're not very good with rifles anymore, so we've devised 2 ways to keep the empty bellies under control. One of them is this fictitious hydrogen bomb we've talked about. The other one is money. Enough money to fill some of the empty bellies and put a hopeful smile on the faces of the others. A great wall of money all around Britain. And it's no secret that the British economy is in trouble at the moment. So we have to put that right, too, to stay alive. We have to control the people in this country. Scare an ostrich, it buries its head in the sand. You scare a hedgehog, it rolls itself up into a ball. When a woman's frightened, she goes out and buys herself a hat.
You mean you scare us so that we'll buy more, so that money moves quicker, production moves up?
We don't say scare when we talk about human beings. We say threaten them emotionally. And there are all sorts of ways of doing it, not just the big ones like the hydrogen bomb. Overcrowd them a little with bad planning. Sell them too many motor cars. Anything to keep them a little bit removed from reality. Nowadays, people don't work for money. They work for the idea of money. They don't even love for love. They love for the idea of love. They only hate for the idea of hate. It took us 5 years to find a non-addictive drug, one we could pay off against the hard drugs. LSD.
You marketed that?
Oh, yes, of course. And for a very good reason. Some of these protest movements are getting a little bit too close to the mark. LSD gave them nice little hallucinations. Made them talk like 3-year-olds. Throw flowers at policemen. Shall we talk terms?
You're not still going to ask me to work for you?
I'm afraid I've had to put all this rather bluntly. You see, there wasn't really very much time. It must be rather a shock. Most people realize that the world is controlled from about 6 big cities. But it must be rather shocking to learn that a 1/6 of the world is controlled from this building.
You mean you?
Oh, no. I only rate an office on the 7th floor. There are 2 other offices above this one. And a giant computer system. Link number 4 in world control.
A computer?
Well, what's so remarkable about that? It's just a machine that can store a vast amount of information.
A machine that knows too bloody much.
Now you're being hysterical about it. The computer's very simple. You feed data into it. Anything from the Wall Street closing prices to the North Atlantic weather reports.
And you get decisions. That machine's taken you over.
It's just a machine. Extra hands for the people who know how to control it.
Well, This one above us, it's square in a box.
Yeah, I suppose you could call it square in a sort of a box.
Do you know why I go away at weekends? To get away from people in boxes. They live in boxes. They get their thoughts, their problems, and their answers out of boxes. And I like to get away at weekends because they're not people anymore. Now, you know all about me. My cottage in Hampshire. But did you know that there's a line of trees that goes right up past the house, and the noise they make is like the sea? Did you know that I find it difficult to sleep in the country? And I like to go and stand in the garden before dawn, and I feel good because I know that my wife and my children are asleep inside. And I like to go out and walk past the wet hedgerows until I can see pasture land and the smoke from the cottages in the
This
village.
may be all very well for one of your grassroots programs, but I'm afraid time is running out. I ought to tell you, we pay a great deal of money. We can afford to. We save such a lot on things like the national defense budget, so on. We would start you off at £250,000 a year.
No.
Rising to £1 million when you make the Ministry of Morality, which I know you will.
Will you let me out of here?
One little point. I should have told you about these surgical transmitters. There's enough of this stuff inside you at this moment to kill 6 people. There's a button we can press. I'm sorry about the dramatics. Our boys call these things the oral contraceptive. Keeps them from talking too much.
So there must be one of those transmitters inside you. Who presses the button? Extra hands. All this stuff about the computer being extra hands for the men who know how to control it. That machine controls you.
You start on Monday.
Early controversial classics from Dennis Potter next weekend with the first of the Nigel Barton plays on Saturday at 11:20. But next tonight, Tony Palmer's very personal film looking at the relationship between pop music, youth culture, money and violence. All My Loving in a moment.
The Great Four Beat the Champ competition. The champ, saloon car race, Sir John Whitmore. The test, how far can you drive on 1 pint of petrol? The car, the new Cortina 1300 automatic. Big prizes will be won, and there's a national champ to be found. Sir John's travelled 5 miles, 1,408 yards. Can you beat the champ? See your Ford dealer now, or phone Edinburgh Waverley 7249.
For going away in style, slip into something elegant. A new 67 Corsair. Some with a distinctive vinyl roof. All with beautiful interiors. Luxurious seats. Handsome all round. Under the stylish bonnet, a smooth, silent V4 engine. Slip into a 67 Corsair and slip away. Seen, but not heard.
It's here, new Cortina. New Cortina is more Cortina. More looks, more go. More comfort. More Cortina for your money. Aeroflow ventilation. Cortina, Scotland's best-selling car. See the new Cortina range at your Ford dealers now.
I'm a secret lemonade drinker. Our whites I'll wait.
I'm trying to give it up, but it's one of those nights.
I'll wait.
Always lemonade. I'm a secret lemonade drinker.
Always
lemonade. Always lemonade.
Mr. Reynard, I presume that you will have our ship's captain on hand when I beam down.
He will be there, sir. I give you my word.
I'm sure that from this day forward, your planet and our Federation will attain the deepest friendship. I look forward to seeing you. Diplomacy, gentlemen, should be a job left to diplomats. You will, of course, immediately resume a peaceful status.
No, sir. I will not.
What did you say?
I'll not lower the screens, not until the captain tells me to.
You are taking orders from me. You will lower the screens as a sign of good faith. My authority.
I know about your authority, but the screens stay up.
Mr. Fox, they've faked a message from the captain. They've launched an attack against our ship. Now, you want us to trust them openly?
I want you and expect you to obey my lawful orders.
No, sir. I won't lower the screens.
Your refusal to comply with my orders has endangered the entire success of this mission. I can have you sent to a penal colony for this.
That you can, sir. But I won't lower the screens.
Your name will figure prominently in my report to the Federation Central.
Well, Scotty, now you've done it.
Aye, the haggis is in the fire for sure. But I'll not lower my defenses on the word of that mealy-mouthed gentleman down below. Not until I know what happened to the captain. When are you going to get off that milk diet, lad?
This is vodka.
Where I come from, that's soda pop. Now, this is a drink for a man.
Scotch?
Aye.
It was invented by a little old lady from Leningrad.
The Earthers like those fuzzy things, don't they?
Yes.
Well, frankly, I never liked Earthers. They remind me of regulant bloodworms.
Easy, lad. You ought to be more forgiving.
No. I just remembered. There is one Earthman who doesn't remind me of a regulant bloodworm. That's Kirk. A regulant bloodworm is soft and shapeless. But Kirk isn't soft. Kirk may be a swaggering, overbearing, tin-plated dictator with delusions of godhood, but he's not soft.
Take it easy, lad. Everybody's entitled to an opinion.
That's right. And if I think that Kirk is a Danubian slime devil, well, that's my opinion, too.
Don't do it, mister, and that's an order.
But you heard what he called the captain.
Forget it. It's not worth fighting for. We're big enough to take a few insults. Now, drink, you drink.
Of course, I'd say that Captain Kirk deserves his ship. We like the Enterprise. We really do. That sagging old rust bucket is designed like a garbage scow. Half the quadrant knows it. That's why they're learning to speak Klingonese.
Mr. Scott.
Laddie, don't you think you should rephrase that?
You're right. I should. I didn't mean to say that the Enterprise should be hauling garbage. I meant to say that it should be hauled away as garbage.
What will you drink if you stop drinking?
I shall drink water. It's a mixer, Patsy. We have it with whiskey. I don't know what it's like. I mean, you've given up drinking before.
Worst 8 hours of my life.
And she's the one who ruined your figure in the first place.
Exactly.
She's the one who turned you into this potato that we see before us.
I could live with it. What do they look like?
Well, a zeppelin in a condom, darling. Thanks to you, I had to spend the whole evening alone in this house with Helena Bonham Carter here.
It's disgusting.
Oh, let me
I
see.
think we should throw it away. Let me just see it first. Just let me just see it. Disgusting. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Don't look at that.
It's disgusting. That is so degrading to women.
Oh. What do you mean? She's got the whip.
Yeah. My name is Patsy Stone. I'm an alcoholic. And what she did was an act of humanitarian mercy.
That is hardly a reason to steal a crate of champagne.
No, further. Patsy Stone. Yes.
47.
I'll sue!
Hey,
Hey, Hilt, if I said you have a beautiful body, would you hold it against me? If you want to talk bollocks and discover the meaning of life, you're better off downing a bottle of whiskey. When I heard that Eds was pregnant, I told her to abort! Abort, abort, abort! I said, chuck it down the pan! Bring me...
A knitting needle?
A knitting needle! Hello, Alex. This is the mood board for the next edition. Sex pitch, aristo, sex, punk, whore, bitch.
Prosy.
Prosy, lesy, punk, tar.
Slut.
Slut. Oh, but Alex, with lovely shoes.
Oh, yes.
This is a story of a self-raising flower.
Oh, shut up.
I am that flower. I need to get it out of my chest where it has sat there for all these years. I need to shout it openly.
Piss off! Hey, darling, how do I look? How do I look, Eddie?
See, I think I can see a panty line.
Oh, but Eddie.
What?
I'm not wearing any pants. Can you tell her not to speak when she's that close? I can feel her dog breath on my neck.
What's step 3, darling?
Step 3 is rut him and beget the son and heir. In fact, I think that might be step 2.
Oh, right. Who's running the shop?
I am. I did that little management course, you know. Buy, sell, hire and fire. You know, the secret is, Eddie, is you've got to hire people while they're still in awe of you, treat them like shit, and then sack them before they despise you.
That's fantastic.
Your truth, your twisted little arsewipe truth. Why? You little piece of dribble piss. And if you ever try anything like this again, I will kill you.
To the last defender.
This is to bring us. Meanwhile, let's get.
We don't need no thought control.
I tried to have a conversation with a man about radiation, the hazardous biological effects. Very harmful. Yes, I tried to show him all the proofs. His ignorance was through the roof. The most deluded man I'd ever met. Totally programmed. I showed him how the frequencies disorient and kill the bees. I showed him how the birds drop out the sky. Look, there's one. I showed him all the many trees dying as they lose their leaves. And I showed him the antenna right nearby. It's right there. And I showed him all the many places with judges and the legal cases, people fighting this technology. Look at that. And I showed him from my science buddies 1,000 scientific studies, but he just laughed. And that's when I could see that no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. No amount of showing you 100 or 1,000 proofs will ever get your blinded eyes to see. Oh, no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. How quickly with your condemnation without real investigation sounds like ignorance to me. I showed him doctors speak at public hearings, protesters on the streets are jeering. They've done their research, they know the fact. Critical thinkers! They've seen all the evidence, they know it's a carcinogen. The WHO will tell you that. It's on the website! I showed him all the scientists that study this, and they've all been appalled at what they've found. I'm not surprised! They petitioned the United Nations trying to stop this radiation. They know it's bad and they don't want it around. Listen to science! Technology destroying cells, affecting memory as well. Destroying your immune system, it's true. Look at that! Interfering frequencies are a threat to the health of humanity. Just research a little and you'll find proof. You've got the internet! This new level of radiation of wireless communication has had no safety tests, and that's the truth. Look it up! Yes, I told him to remember that, because that's another damning fact. Will you listen when it comes to a street near you? Probably not. No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. No amount of showing you 100 or 1,000 proofs will ever get your blinded eyes to see. Oh, no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. How quickly with your condemnation without real investigation sounds like ignorance to me. Well, how about this observation? You know this new 5th generation is using millimeter frequencies. Very tiny. And according to the military guys, these sound waves can be weaponized, but you think it's conspiracy theory. This is frustrating. Then let me share this information. The military uses this radiation as a weapon to diffuse an angry crowd. Look at that. They blast out 95 gigahertz. It fries the people and they disperse. He looked at me and then he laughed out loud. This is painful. And you're gonna need a funeral hearse when you get to 60 gigahertz, because that will really take your breath away. Quite literally. Absorbing oxygen molecules, and they install this stuff near schools. Come on, kids, let's go outside and play. No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. No amount of showing you 100 or 1,000 proofs will ever get your blinded eyes to see. Oh, no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. How quickly with your condemnation without real investigation sounds like ignorance. My God, the cognitive dissonance! I am the god of hellfire! Sorry about that.
Fifth generation. generation technology promises faster download speeds and conveniences that most of us have never dreamed of, but will also be blanketed with a new type of radiation called millimetre waves. Health experts are warning about the rising risks with a 5G rollout.
Scientists from 42 countries are now warning their governments about the emerging health problems associated with wireless radiation.
The most prevalent symptoms include headache, fatigue, decreased ability to concentrate, tinnitus, irritability, and insomnia. Impacts on the heart and the nervous system are also of great concern. We predict that the number of people who develop the symptoms I just mentioned will rise in the places where 5G is first installed.
Dr. Magda Havas is internationally recognized for her research on the biological effects of electromagnetic pollution.
At lower frequencies, scientists are predicting damage to eyes, loss of insect populations which are already declining, antibiotic resistance in bacteria, and physiological effects on the nervous system and on the immune system.
Radiation from radio frequencies is classed in the same category of carcinogens as lead. One advisor to the World Health Organization said there's enough evidence that if they were to re-evaluate radio frequency radiation,
it would be placed in class 1, i.e. a human carcinogen.
More than hate and jealousy, yeah. In this time, we need education, more than bullets and bombs. In this time, we need to care for the young and old, more than silver and gold. In this time, we have to wake up and change the world. As a result of 2,000 years of hypocrisy, ego-driven leaders in pursuit of property, power and wealth and fame. Oppressing and murdering, killing all in God's name. Iniquity spread across the nation. Humanity is in separation. In the midst of a darkest hour, we rise to reclaim our power. In this time, we love and unity, more than hate and jealousy. Yeah. In this time, we need education, more than bullets and bombs. We say we now give up. Now give up. Now give up. Oh no, we now. Using dirty politicians, brainwashed education, war on religion, racial division, food with no nutrition. Hey, this is the Babylon system. Their intention to use all their wicked invention, all the propaganda promoting consumerism. It's all a distraction, only misdirection to break eye connection. But if you want come from the mini, make you know say what I want. This is how I get you ready for the Armageddon. I'm in for the revolution. Power by love and compassion. Cause if we go at them with weapons, then they have more guns. Go at them with money, then they have more funds. With unification, then time soon done. We owe it to our daughters and sons in this time. More than hate and jealousy, yeah. In this time, we need education, more than bullets and bombs. In this time, we need to care for the young and old, more than silver and gold. In this time, we have to wake up and change the world. In this time, we need love and unity, more than hate and jealousy, yeah. In this time, we need education, more than bullets and bombs. In this time, we need to care for the young and old, more than silver and gold. In at this here time, we have to wake up and change the world. Your life's been in motion since the time of your birth. But the thing that's static is this stationary earth. Some say a year is a lap around the sun. But we who seek the truth know that's completely wrong. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday, dear Dave. Happy flat birthday to you. This expansive plane is the best gift you've been given, providing everything you'd want or need for good living. Here's to you for spreading truth and the good work that you've done. All the best on the next few hundred revolutions of the sun. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday, dear Dave. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday to you. Happy flat birthday to you. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teacher, leave them kids alone. Hey! Teacher! Leave them kids alone! All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. All in all, you're just